We're on our way to the moon.
What do you do that for? It's like I'm gonna wait till the microphones turn on, and I'm gonna keep talking. You talk more before the microphones actually get turned on than you do. And then the microphones get turned on. You go. So what's up, Paul? How are you? How's your Wednesday morning so far?
Cloudy.
It is cloudy today.
I mean, this was a vacation. It's been pretty crappy. Think about it.
Well,
although I heard the sun was supposed to come back out again, so
in a little bit we're going to speak to somebody that's on perpetual vacation.
Well, yeah,
we've had him on the show many times before. His name is Brian Culpin.
Yeah, nice vacation. If it's a vacation, I don't think it's really a vacation, but it's a nice way to spend your life.
He is traveling with his wife and his kids all over the place, kind of off the grid.
Yeah, good for him.
So we'll have to we'll
kind of the life we would like to have. You know.
Well, why didn't you do it?
Kind of late to do that now.
Why?
I know. I wouldn't be able to drive.
What's the problem?
I wouldn't be able to drive out of June City.
Jeez, you do.
Oh well. That's nice. I mean, it'd be nice to do that if you're younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Brian has to say in a couple of minutes. He'll join the show at 9:00.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is. He told me, somewhere, but I don't know exactly where he is.
Yep.
And I told him, I said, don't tell me. Wait till you join the show on Wednesday morning, and then we can talk about it. And we'll talk more about his life. I know Brian because we used to work for Verizon together. And one day I messaged him on Facebook, and just to see what he was doing. It'd been about a year.
Yeah.
And he was one of the guys that I would talk to. He was always funny. We're both Red Sox fans.
Yeah.
So we chatted it up a little bit, and then he had transferred to another store, and we kind of lost a little bit of touch there. But then he messaged me one day, and he asked me where to get, I believe it was propane. Where do I get propane around here in Plainfield? I'm like, what are you doing in Plainfield? You don't live in Plainfield. You live in, down towards like past Basra and that area down there, Franklin. And I'm saying to him, what do you don't live there. He goes, oh, I didn't tell you. And I said, no, Brian, we haven't talked, in a little while. And he goes, oh yeah, Courtney and I sold everything. And everything, including the house.
Takes a lot of guts to do that.
A lot. Guts takes big balls. You kidding me?
Yeah, that's true.
That
is true.
So, yeah. So he said, yeah. He goes, oh, I didn't tell you. He goes, we sold everything, and we're gonna homeschool the kids and travel the world. Just they bought an RV and off they went. And from what I understood, I believe he told me that it was going to be a 2-year kind of expedition kind of thing. And then they were going to come back home or settle back home, whatever. Well, it's been over 3. But I'll let him tell his story. That's just to give you a little, he's been on the show a few times.
Yeah, yes.
I like to have Brian on because it's fun to find out where he is, how they are coping to different, in different places in North America. Yeah. Who knows? They may get on a boat someday and end up in Maui. Well, you don't want to go to Maui right now.
That's not a good. No, don't say Maui.
Tahiti. Yeah. Or some South Pacific island,
Yeah.
Next thing you know, their truck turns into a duck boat.
Well, that's happened before.
Go gadget duck boat.
Yeah.
So Brian will be joining us in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's always really interesting to talk to Brian. It really is. It's very cool because just to see where they're at, what he's doing, how the kids are reacting. Yeah. Is Courtney beating him up yet? His wife. But last time they had a really interesting story when they were in Mexico.
That's
Remember? Did you?
I remember the Mexico thing.
So now they're driving in a big pickup truck, pulling a trailer.
Right.
And then they went down some road and they literally had to back up about 2 miles with a trailer behind them.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, and I guess his wife is the one that did it.
That's
It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So Brian will be on in a couple of minutes right here on SN on the Mike and Wasilek with Paul Ash Morning Show.
Where's Wasilek?
There's no Wasilek today.
No Wasilek.
No. Well, some days there's no Paul Ash.
That's true.
But we still say it.
Oh.
They don't say.
I didn't know where you were going.
They know. They know where Paul Ash. He's like laying in bed with 12 kittens. It's about how many cats you have left, right?
No, I don't. Not me.
I don't think anybody's here, to be honest with you. I mean, nobody said a word.
I don't see anybody. No,
there's people popping in and out, but not one person has said hi.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nope.
So, all right. Here are the days that you should be celebrating today that you didn't know that existed in the first place. Ready?
Yeah.
All right, Paul. It's National Rum Day.
Oh.
Yep. It's National Roller Coaster Day.
Well, it's a good time of year for that.
It is National Bratwurst Day.
Oh, German.
Congressional Startup Day is August 16th.
Oh.
Today is National Airborne Day. It's True Love Forever Day.
Wow.
That is today.
Oh.
It's World Calligraphy Day.
That's tough to do.
I've never done any calligraphy.
Pretty hard to do that kind of stuff.
And National Tell a Joke Day.
Geez, I don't have one either. Should have told me.
What did the ocean say to the beach?
Good morning.
Nothing. He just waved.
You must have heard that on your cruise.
How do you know?
Oh.
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
No, I've got a thing here. It's dad jokes for days. And never gonna find out. Oh, Victoria is the only human that is here today. Good morning, Victoria.
Yeah.
Good morning, Victoria.
Well, you are a little bit early because usually you're like 9 o'clock. You're a few minutes ahead of time. So.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
whatever. So, good morning, Victoria. Oh my goodness. I see him in the back room here. Brian has made it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So good morning, Christina. How are you? You know what? We're not going to waste any more time. We are going to bring on right now. There he is. Brian, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh man, you're really crackly.
Oh, hold on.
Look at that righteous beard, man. Look at you go. You look like a mountain man. There he goes. He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Huh?
He left.
He's gone. Now he'll be back. Today is Erica says today is my kid gets a haircut day.
I didn't realize that.
There you go.
Well, it'll be coming up because it's school time coming pretty soon. Have to get a haircut. Have to get a haircut for school. At least they used to get haircuts for school. Oh well.
That was always one of the ways you knew you were going back to school.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's see what we got here. Hey, Brian, you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Can you hear me? I see him now.
No, it's real crackly. It's
strange. All right.
See, all right, talk again. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? On too.
But let him talk, Paul.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it sounds like a radio in the background going only when you talk.
Gotcha. Okay, let me try dropping off my headset and see if I can just use it on speakerphone.
Oh, okay. All right.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Oh, there he goes. He's somewhere in the wild.
Must be. Is that a long beard that I see?
Yeah. Didn't you not hear me say that?
Well, yeah. It's like I can see something that's been growing for a while.
Uh-huh. I said that's a righteous beard you got growing there, Brian.
Wow.
Polino, good morning. Good morning. So we're gonna wait for Brian to reconnect. I think he's gonna, because I think he had a Bluetooth in or something like that. It didn't. It was just crack. Did you hear the crackle too?
I couldn't hear the crackle.
You couldn't hear the crackle.
No, because it's coming through your.
Release the Kraken. All right, Brian. Let's try it now.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds a lot better.
Bummer. Hopefully there's not too much wind noise.
What?
The wind kind of died down. The wind was pretty insane about a half hour ago. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to take this inside. But it's completely calmed down. So.
Where are you? I know I said don't tell me. But where is Brian Culpin today?
I am in Jasper National Park. I can do a quick. We're actually camping right next to this. I don't know.
Hold on a minute. I totally screwed everything up. I'm trying to give you a bigger.
What if I no?
No, you're fine. I'm trying to adjust the screen.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, you almost.
All right, there we go.
Almost had it.
Look at that. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so we're surrounded by glaciers right now, in the ice fields in Jasper National Park in Canada. And,
where in Canada?
It's in Jasper, but it's Alberta, Canada.
Ah, Paul, you were right.
Yeah,
it's beautiful here. I mean, weather's perfect. It's a little cold right now. It's only 7 a.m. and it's about 46 degrees here.
wow.
But it warms up nicely during the day, mid 70s ish. And yeah, can't ask for a better spot.
What time is it now there?
7:02.
7:02. It's 2 years.
2 hours.
Yeah, we're in mountain time right now.
So Paul and I were talking before we came on this morning, and we were like, I said, no, I told him I didn't want him to tell me where he was. And Paul goes, and he tried to, I'm not kidding you. He tried to really just figure it out where you might be. Well, he was in Mexico and he probably went this way. And
yeah.
He goes, Alberta.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Alberta.
Yeah. We'll be here for about another 3 weeks or so. And then we're going to end up in Montana. We're going to cross over back into Montana.
Okay.
How was it coming across the border with the trailer and you? Did they really check you out, or you just said, "Oh, just come right in"?
No, I'll tell you that it was super easy. They asked a few basic questions. The biggest thing they wanted to know is what we used or what we carried with us for self-defense, and obviously they're trying to gauge whether or not we're traveling with guns. And
sure,
we don't carry guns, and they were very persistent on that's not possible. You must carry guns. But other than that, it was easy. They had us throw out an onion. They have a list of fruits and vegetables, and as long as you're honest with them and they can sense that you're being honest with them, they have you toss it right in front of them and then move along. Whole process probably took 5 minutes.
What kind of vegetables or fruits and vegetables can you not bring into Canada?
Onions was the big one. No
What?
fruit. Yeah, I don't understand they must have a reason, of course, but I don't. I never took the time to look it up. And no fruit, except for
Why?
bananas. I think bananas were allowed.
You don't want to bring in disease with your industry.
Yeah, it's got to be something to do with some invasive disease or insects or something. But it was easy.
Yeah, fruit
overall,
flies.
I mean, the Mexico crossing was much bigger deal.
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, even they did ask for whether or not, because we travel with 2 dogs, they asked if they were up to date on their shots, and I said yes. And he asked what date the shots expire, and we happened to look that up right before we left, so we knew the answer, and offered to show him the paperwork, and he's like, "No, I trust you." So Mexico border would have looked over our paperwork with a fine-tooth comb for sure.
Huh. So let's get people up to speed on what you're doing.
Sure.
So is it over 3 years now?
It'll be 3 years next month.
Okay, so
I believe September 13th. I could be wrong. My wife will probably correct me later, but I'm pretty sure it was September 13th.
So I remember you messaging me on Facebook one day and saying, "Hey, where do you get propane in Plainfield or something?"
Yeah.
I'm like, so wait a minute, you don't live around here. What do you live like you're like in Hebron or something? What are you doing? Up in Plainfield. Then I remembered something. I did remember that Courtney's parents live there, right?
Yep.
Okay.
They live in Busa.
Got it. So I thought, all right, well, they're just, oh yeah, you said something for your camper, and then you told me that you sold everything. You sold the house, sold the cars. Did you sell any children?
No, unfortunately.
No. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know what the return is on that these days.
Right.
But you sold all of or most of your belongings, and then you bought a truck and a trailer, a camper, and
yep.
It was supposed to be at first it was a 2-year trip you guys were going to take.
You got it. And now there's no end in sight. We love it so much. So
see, now the last time I talked to you, I think you had said that y'all took a vote to go to 3 years, and now this is it. This is what we're doing.
I mean, we still have so much more to see. I believe we still have about 10 states maybe to visit. I mean, some of those states we've been in, we just didn't stay overnight in, but we still want to get to Alaska and still have a lot of Canada to experience too. Like I said, we don't have an end in sight. We're enjoying it so much. The kids are thriving and enjoying it. Like you said, we at first said 2 years, and that was probably unrealistic given everything we wanted to accomplish. And we travel somewhat slow, move every 2 weeks or so. So yeah, and we don't travel far when we travel. We at most 250 miles. So
so you're taking your time.
Yeah.
Laura has a question for you. One of our.
I see it.
Oh, you see it? Any plans to do something like this on another continent, say Europe?
We do. I don't know if it'll be in an RV. I think possibly. Big RVs don't really exist in Europe. It's mostly vans and smaller RVs. So we have a big family. I don't think we would do it in an RV. I think we'd probably just Airbnb. But we do have plans to explore Europe more and other countries too, or continents too.
I know one thing that I'm always curious on is what's your sustainable income to do this? I mean, you guys are traveling all over the place. I mean, I know you're not a multimillionaire. At least I knew you weren't. So, I mean, with the righteous beard, you'd think maybe you were, though. That is like ZZ Top. Like,
yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah. Pan down. Let me see how long you got. Look at you.
Yep.
That's Brian. That's awesome. See, I remember Brian when he didn't have any facial hair.
Yep.
Then he grew a little beard and stuff like that, and then here we are.
Yep.
So anyway.
Yeah, I've had a beard since 2013 when the Sox won the World Series.
Gotta save water.
He says you got to save water.
Yeah. Yeah, true. No, so my wife still works part-time. She's in finance. That's our I guess you'd say the bulk of how we sustain our living. And her gig is pretty awesome. She only has to work 80 hours a month, and we're pretty much set. And then I work for a community RVing community called Full Time Families. So that helps a lot. And then we also do a little bit of selling on Amazon. So we do a few things. Nothing full time. Everything is part time and flexible. I think that's the biggest thing that we looked for in ways to sustain a living on the road and support ourselves. So, yeah.
I think nowadays, post COVID, which you traveled all through COVID.
Yep.
What was it like traveling through COVID? How difficult was it, or how not so difficult was it?
So we started at the tail end. I guess it wasn't the tail end. We left right in the height, but we went to Florida and stayed down there for a bit. And to be honest, the COVID restrictions down there were basically nothing. So it didn't really affect us down in Florida. The year of 2020, 2021, every now and then we'd kind of go into a state that had more restrictions than others. Quite honestly, we didn't spend much time in those states, and that's part of the reason why we have to go back and kind of fill in our map a little bit. But it wasn't that difficult to navigate. We don't really eat out much to begin with. We don't really do the touristy things to begin with. So really, we just live like you would in a house, and we're mindful to the restrictions wherever we went.
Do you like when it comes to where you go these days? Since you work for this organization, what is it called again? The
Full Time Families.
Full Time Families.
Yep.
Does that pretty much dictate where you go, where you
No,
travel to?
Not at all. I mean, we set up events. That's what we do. Is we're event coordinators for them, and occasionally we will host one, which we are hosting one in Montana. So we have to obviously we have to get there eventually. And we're also hosting one in Albuquerque at the Balloon Fiesta, and we're going back to Baja again this winter, and we're hosting a caravan down there. So those three items will dictate for the next couple months. But other than that, unless we're hosting an event, we are free to travel wherever we are. And and we have hosts that host them for us. So.
Were you affected by any of the fire smoke up there?
Right now, yes, it smells like a campfire here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the big fire.
No, not really. We were a little bit worried. Our route was taking us right along one of them. There's many fires in this area right now. But it's interesting because the smoke will come in, everything will get kind of hazy for a couple hours, and then the wind will just take it right away. And then it'll come back later. So it's one of those things that's not a constant thing. But this morning, it definitely smells like a fire out here. And there's definitely a haze over the mountains. But like I said, it could be gone in an hour. So.
Oh, cool.
So you've pretty much traveled the perimeter of the United States, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gotten all the out except for North Dakota, actually. We're going to North Dakota this year.
Well,
what is what do you find to be the most expensive state to say maybe sustain a living in?
the one he left.
No, Connecticut is expensive, but it doesn't hold a hat to the West Coast. California, Oregon, Washington were just unbelievably expensive. I'd say
not just gas, but everything else.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gas is super expensive. Washington, I think, was the most expensive state we've been to for gas.
Really?
But even, I mean, food, groceries, restaurants, everything is just double the price from our experience in California. Oregon was pretty rough for restaurants, and Washington was pretty bad too. But I'd say those three states were by far our most expensive states. And we didn't spend as much time as we would have I think if they were more affordable there. But yeah, everywhere else is much cheaper.
So how are the boys doing with the trip?
Great. Yeah, Tegan's 11 now, like I said to you privately. Barrett's turning 9 in a couple months. Lincoln's 5 and Remington's 3, sorry. And yeah, they're thriving. We're actually going through the potty training thing with Remy now. He's almost there. He'll be our youngest to potty train. But they're loving it. We're traveling with another family right now. We were traveling with 2 other families, and we'll meet up with the third family shortly. So socialization is a huge part of their lives, and yeah, they're loving it.
I would think potty training out there. Go out there.
Yeah,
Just go over there.
In places like this, it's a little easier. But he's shown an interest. I think having 3 older brothers has kind of helped that. He's trying to compete with them, but yeah, it's fun.
So I got to ask, and I ask this every time, and there are new people that are have been watching the show and listening to have it that are not familiar with you, Brian, coming on the show. What's it like space-wise traveling with you and your wife and 4 boys in a trailer pulled by a Dodge truck?
I mean, honestly, the travel days are probably the least comfortable space-wise. We have a 6-passenger truck, but and so we have our Barrett, our 9-year-old, sits in the front now. Well, he'll be 9 in a month or so. And he's tiny. He's a small kid.
I was going to say, if you have another child, then what do? Do you lose a child, or you get a bigger truck?
We've talked about that, actually. We'd have to get another vehicle. But the space in the RV feels perfect to us. I mean, it's 330 square feet. Our living space is actually pretty big. The kids have their own bunk room, which is not quite as big as our room, but it's pretty big. But most of our time is spent outdoors. So we never get that cramped feeling unless it's raining. Honestly, rainy days are the worst days. And we'll just try to find some excursion to do to get out of it if that happens. But yeah, I mean, space is not an issue.
What about weather? I mean, have you gotten caught in nasty weather? And what happens if you're in an area where a tornado's about to hit?
Yeah, that's happened.
That's a concern, I would think.
Yeah. If it's happened a few times. We had a scary situation in Kentucky. I believe it was last April or May, where there was a tornado warning and alarms going off on our phones and this, that, and the other. And honestly, we just look for, if we know there's going to be bad weather, we make ourselves aware of where the nearest shelters are, and we'll leave the trailer and go to it. It's one of those things. We have insurance for a reason, unfortunately. So if something like that happens, we're not obviously going to put our lives in danger. So our plan is always to just leave the trailer and find somewhere safer, even if it means driving an hour where the weather's a little calmer.
Got it. I know with us, we just went on a cruise and we were coming right into a storm, and then the boat just went right around it.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, we do avoid, I mean, at all costs, we avoid heat. We avoid cold weather. We don't like the snow, although it's pretty chilly here. And bad weather. We try to stay out of the tornado alley during tornado season and stay out of the southeast during hurricane season. And so.
I would think that you've gotten a lot more, I don't want to say smarter, but maybe more savvy as far as where to go during what time of year.
Definitely. Absolutely. The hardest, I would say the hardest learning thing that we probably haven't nailed down on the West Coast. East Coast we definitely have, but is when to head north, because we were in Florida last year and we headed north way too early. I thought for sure Kentucky was going to be warm in April and May, and it was freezing. It snowed, and then, like I said, we had the tornado issue. So when to head north is still something that we're trying to figure out.
Did you have something?
Does that community you travel with, do they really care what's going on in Washington today with all this wokeism and all this other crap? I mean,
Yeah.
how do they feel? I mean, you guys talk about that stuff, or if you're out in the country, forget about it.
I'd say there's less investment in it, but we still talk about it. It's one of those things that I feel like is human nature to talk about, and local town politics obviously is a non-issue whatsoever. But obviously, we talk about things that are going to affect us, and local issues like South Dakota. I talked about South Dakota.
Because you're a resident of South Dakota, technically, right?
Yeah, and they're actually starting to button down a little bit on what we do. So basically, there a few things they're trying to restrict, and we had to come up with a new address for a few things. But other than that, it's been great. But yeah, the big country politics we still talk about, but I'd say probably not as passionately as somebody that isn't traveling.
Yeah. All right, there's a question up on the board that it's been up there for a bit, and I'm sorry, Laura, I should have asked it, but I got onto other things. With the amount of use on the truck and trailer, how long until you expect to have to do major repairs? I know you've had to do some things, but I don't know how major.
Yeah, so we've had a few major repairs already. It's one of those things, especially the trailer. They're not built to live in at all. Basically, there's some wood in them, but they're mostly styrofoam, and they're just not built to do what we do with them. So there's always maintenance going on. Major repairs happen from time to time, like axle suspension stuff. With the truck, it's all about maintenance, and we try to maintain it as diligently as possible. I'm sure a major repair will happen eventually, but we just set money aside every month or every paycheck and hope for the best. I mean, it's one of those things where major house issues happen, right? When you own a house, and you have to prepare for it. We do the same thing. So
I guess I just never really thought about it that way. I mean, it's going to be the same kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're going to have issues no matter how you live.
Yeah.
And you're going to need some sort of. Go ahead,
just have to prepare for it and kind of expect it. I mean, it's one of those things, especially with like I said, with the trailer, we expect things to break. It's just that it's a matter of time, and how you react to that and how you bounce back from it is whether or not you're gonna continue with doing something like this. So yeah.
So if you go to buy a new vehicle or another vehicle to replace the one that you have, do you claim South Dakota as your home address for sales tax purposes?
Well, I'm not a tax person, but I believe you'd pay the sales tax for whatever state you buy it in, as well as whatever state you register it in. And then sometimes I believe if it's the state you buy it in, the sales tax is higher than the state you reside in, you may not owe in the state that you reside in. So for us, South Dakota is 4% sales tax. So we would try like crazy to buy a truck there and just make it easy and not have to deal with any of that mess.
You're still in the original truck, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It has about 165,000 miles on it, but it's a diesel,
you'll
67. So
yeah,
it'll last a while. Repairs will be expensive, but it'll last a while.
But I'm assuming there's nothing but highway miles on that thing for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. And honestly, not a lot of it's towing. Like I said, we don't travel fast or far. So I'd have to guess we've maybe put on 30,000 miles towing.
Every year or all together?
All together.
Well, see, now I would have thought that you would have put more miles on. So think about it. So over almost 3 years, that's 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
No. Nope.
Well, don't forget they travel and they stop.
I know, but I think, the perception is they're traveling all over the place.
Yeah, but they're really
they're going hundreds of thousands of miles a year.
Yeah.
But I guess so what you do is correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're in one spot, you go to another destination, you stay there for a while.
Yeah.
And then you pick up and you discover what's in that area. And you pick up and move on, go to another area.
Yeah.
You got
Time
it.
time for electric vehicle.
Yeah, right. I've talked about it. Like if we did get a second vehicle, I'd almost want it to be an electric vehicle. But campgrounds are cracking down on allowing people to charge them in campgrounds, so that could become problematic. Something to look at. But.
Kathy wants to know, where do you stay if the trailer / truck needs to be in the garage for repairs for a lengthy time? I mean, if it's up on the lift, do you guys just take a nap in there? Or?
That hasn't happened yet. There's actually mobile RV technicians that come to you. So any sort of repair that we've had to do, we've had that done. And honestly, mostly it's friends that are mobile RV technicians that come, and we just stay in the trailer or if it's going to be something that's they need to jack the trailer up, we'll go for a day trip somewhere and come back to it. But it hasn't happened yet where we've had to store it. I know friends of ours have, and they've just put it in campgrounds. And if the campground doesn't allow you to leave it unoccupied, so a lot of them do, they'll just ask they'll look for a campground that has storage, do it that way, or leave it at a place and get a hotel. A lot of RV insurances will cover hotel stays for repairs, ours included, up to a certain amount, but enough usually to get a repair done.
Have you thought of going, let's say the trailer goes and it's beyond economical repair,
Sure.
For whatever reason. Have you thought of maybe just driving from place to place, like different campgrounds, and renting a cottage or a trailer for a period of time?
No, that would be it would be way more expensive than just replacing it, honestly. Those cottages, they're really designed for vacationers. They're priced $150 to $250 a night.
Yeah, but so are 35-foot trailers, I mean, you're living in it. So
true, but I mean, you got to figure replacing a trailer long term is definitely cheaper than spending $200.
Oh, I know, I agree.
Yeah.
Any problems with wildlife when you stay in these different campgrounds? I mean, we got wildlife issues around here.
I will tell you that Brian did say when we were texting back and forth about him coming on the show today, he says, "Let me know if there's a grizzly bear behind me." And I said, "Nope, you're on your own, buddy."
Yeah, we're in an area there's grizzly bears and black bears, along with other things. But grizzly bears are the main threat here. There's wolves. There's, I believe, cougars or mountain lions. One of those big.
We got cougars here too.
Yeah. So,
kind. Oh, 4-legged.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, Ryan.
It's always a concern, but we always try to kind of research the area and see how big of a threat it is. Obviously, we don't leave trash out. I think the biggest surprise area we were in Alabama. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. And we pulled up it was an Army Corps of Engineers park. So if you're not familiar with those, they're government run. They're all on the water. They're usually beautiful locations, but this particular one had signs everywhere that wild boar were in the area, and they've claimed X amount of dogs already this year. So that was a different experience, having to worry about wild boar. But other than that, it's usually bears. Bears is usually the biggest issue.
Have you see the signs for them, but do you actually see these creatures?
We haven't seen a bear. We're determined to see a grizzly here. We've seen bears in other locations, but not here. But there, from what I understand, there's only about 110 grizzly bears in this area, and the area is massive. I don't know the exact size, but over 1,000 square miles, I'm sure. So,
well, one comes threatening it, it'll be 109.
Yeah, right. So the story that I've been reading is there's actually two mama grizzly bears that have been walking around with their cubs, and that's the biggest threat there.
Yeah.
And actually, we saw a moose 2 days ago. We were going on a hike, and we saw a moose with a pup, and that's usually, if they're not pups, called pups. Sorry, that's what I call them. But that's kind of a dangerous situation too, because female moose are known to charge and trample people. Yeah, if they feel that their pup is threatened.
Deer are not. They're not nice animals.
No, this one we have some great footage of it. We were actually probably within 30 feet of it, and we only stayed that close because it was in water, and we figured if it did start to head our direction, we have some time versus if it was on land, they can book it. So, but it was swimming in water with its baby, and yeah,
No, we talking about a deer or a moose.
moose.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's been your family's favorite state, or even say country? Because you're in Canada and you've been to Mexico as well.
Yeah. So right now, Courtney and I, my wife, are both in agreement. We haven't found a state where we would live full time ever. I'd say, and we both agree with this. We talk about it honestly pretty often. If we were to choose a location right now to live, it would be South Dakota in the summer, near like Custer State Park and the Badlands, that side of South Dakota. But we would probably live in Baja, Mexico in the winter. I mean, it is unbelievable down there. We fell in love with it. We're going back again. But the answer to the question, South Dakota by far. Beautiful state in the summer. Wouldn't want to be there in the winter, but in the summer it's beautiful.
No, I remember when you were in Mexico and we were talking about the adventures of backing the trailer up. Now Courtney was driving that day, right?
Oh yeah, she drives it exclusively. I've never towed it.
Really?
Yep, never.
But you spoke very highly of Mexico and how much you loved it and how much the boys loved it and stuff. So
Yeah,
the
it's
people
just
were wonderful, and
the people are wonderful. They're welcoming. You can tell they're hardworking, and it's just one of those areas that we just fell in love with. So
yeah, we went on. Melissa and I just went on a cruise, and you have these thoughts, of things you've heard about certain countries or areas or whatever, right? I mean, I don't know. I think Arkansas. I think Deliverance.
Yeah.
Near. It's not like that. People are very friendly down there. But we one of the islands we ended up was in the Dominican, and the people were wonderful.
Yeah,
they were friendly. They were very welcoming, and something that you don't see it.
Yeah,
you don't think that. You only know what propaganda is telling you.
Exactly. A lot of things that are, portrayed in I feel like in our media, for whatever reason, they want to paint a completely different picture of what it's actually like. I'm sure there are areas in Mexico that aren't safe to be, and there's areas anywhere where it's not safe to be. Even in the United States, the most unsafe places we've felt like are Chicago and that area in Alabama, not because of wild boars, but it was just kind of out there, and we ran into a couple situations. But yeah, I mean, Mexico's amazing, and the people down there, they're so thankful that people travel there. Baja in particular they rely on the tourism. They rely on us to come down there and spend money, and they're very appreciative of it, and they show their appreciation. So
I felt the same way in the Dominican.
Yeah,
the Dominican, where we were, Puerto Plata, was a very poor area.
Yep.
Big, huge beach community, but it was all tourists. It's like, what do you do? I mean, during non-tourist season, it's like,
Yeah, to talk about, to kind of bring it into current events, people, and this may be controversial, but I see a lot on Facebook, people saying, if you have a trip planned to Maui, stay out. And obviously that's the United States, but my opinion is completely different on that. I feel like Maui could use the help right now. And if you have a trip planned there, go. Don't get in the way of the recovery efforts, but go spend some money in the local communities and support them, because there's a lot of people hurting down there right now. So
absolutely. Paul, you turned your head. You may have something to offer there.
No, I was just thinking that I think South Dakota has a female governor.
That got to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just right. She says, and I think she does a commercial where she actually is doing hands-on work with a mask on, and then it's the governor of South Dakota, welcoming people to go to South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, from what I understand, she's well liked in South Dakota too.
that's what I kind of figured because she does these weird. I don't know if you ever saw one of her commercials on TV, but she'll actually have a welder's mask on. She's welding. You say, "Who the hell was that?" Whoop! I'm the governor of South Dakota. Yeah, that's
And I'm Daniel Malloy, and I'm not. All right, so I'm going to ask you because I'm just wondering if there are any. I ask you these questions at the same time. Gonna be the same ones every time you come on, because it's fascinating to me.
Sure.
The boys are going to want private space at some point.
Sure.
You know, like Tegan's 11, so you probably haven't gotten there yet.
Nope.
You know, what happens when you do?
I mean, we'll always have the conversation with the kids, and
I mean, I'm not trying to be real ultra personal. I'm just thinking living in a tight space.
Sure.
You know, young boys, young girls.
Sure.
All of a sudden start to develop wants and needs that maybe sharing a bunk with 3 other brothers isn't gonna work out.
Yeah, it's one of those things I feel like we'll cross that bridge when it happens and keep the kids in the loop. We're always having conversations with the kids and kind of gauging their, I guess you'd call it, their happiness level, and making sure that they're still on the same page with us. They're not shut out of decisions, but obviously our opinions and decisions, we make the decision ultimately. And when that happens, I feel like we're probably a few years down the road, hopefully,
right.
But we'll figure it out. But as of right now, nothing's on the horizon.
I realize that, but that has to be on your radar. I would be like, what the hell do I do?
That's why they make tents.
Right. We actually do travel with some people occasionally that have like truck top tent deals. I don't know if we would ever do that, but we would figure something out. There's bigger RVs if it came to that. In fact, one of our friends travels with an RV that I believe it's 4 bedrooms. So it's an option. The bedrooms are tiny. They're not like a bedroom per se, but more like a closet. But it's an option.
Get a yurt.
Yeah.
You always get a yurt. Those
by
are
then,
pretty
maybe we'll be on a
durable.
boat.
Huh?
But I said by then, maybe we'll be on a boat. Boats have.
You know, you mentioned that last time we spoke.
Yep.
So what are the possibilities of getting on a boat and, you know, going Wilson?
Yeah.
Or, no, seriously, or, you know, going on a 3-hour tour.
Yeah, we're still on the surface level of researching that. We watch a bunch of YouTubers. The big one, Sailing Zatar, is the one that we've kind of, I guess, used as our resource mostly. But I think if we did do it, we would do what they call the Great Loop first, which is basically just starting in the Keys. There's actually a community that does it all together. They start in the Keys, they go up the East Coast, cross through into the Great Lakes, and then back down the Mississippi, and they just do that nonstop. And to me, that is very similar to RVing, except you're floating, because you can always see land for the most part, and you're always within distance of land where if something were to happen, it's a good, I guess, starter leap into blue water cruising or open water cruising, and that's our ultimate goal. But
well, I think you need to do that too, just to really even get used to a boat, or you know, if you're not used to sailing or anything like that, you've got to do that. You know,
just stay off the SS Minnow.
Yeah, and you can do the, obviously you need a bigger boat, more stable boat to do open water cruising versus just the Great Loop, which is something to think about because the boat requirements for the Great Loop are, I wouldn't say strict, but there are some. Can't be too tall, can't be too, they can't go into the water too much. So yeah, but it's on our radar. It's something that we've talked about. We've also talked about maybe our next step is just traveling, like somebody said, mentioned earlier, in Europe, doing the Airbnb thing for a bit. We don't really know, but it'll be something. It won't be a house, I don't think. I'd be shocked if we all came to the agreement that it would be a house or an apartment or something like that.
So you don't think you'll ever end up in conventional living again, like in a home house somewhere in a state, in a town, or anything like that?
I'll never say never. I don't think we'd ever end up in the same place year round. I could totally see us doing like a 6-month lease here, 6-month lease there, and kind of bouncing around like that. Traveling is just something that we've fallen in love with, and being able to escape the bad weather. I think that's the biggest thing. Is like, even if we did settle down somewhere, I think we'd own 2 properties or a property in a summer location and in a winter location to bounce between. Become snowbirds, I guess. Yeah.
I guess in a sense, yeah. Huh? You would become
Yeah.
it would be like a snowbird situation at that point.
And we've also talked about where we're at that point where we've fallen in love with the minimalist lifestyle, where even if we did buy a house, it would be much smaller
big.
than what you would think would be a house for a 6-person family. Probably be a yurt or a container house or something like that. We just like the simplicity of it.
Dude, those container houses are cool.
They're awesome. Yeah,
They are.
I watch YouTube videos on them all the time. It's quite an effort. I almost wonder if it's economically like if it's better than building a house. I feel like the bills can rack up with those pretty quickly.
You can find containers for nothing.
Yeah,
They're all over the place. You could, they would just the cost to ship them to you.
Yeah.
But they're
and then
you can
bringing in a welder to weld them together and create openings and stuff like that.
Stack them.
Yep, stack them. Have to rent a crane. I just feel like the cost would add up pretty quickly, but
I would
haven't
think so.
researched it much.
But that'd be hella cool, though, man.
Yeah, it would be.
It'd be kind of like Dr. Evil. Have like a catacomb.
Yep.
Just keep adding on.
Definitely.
Pretty soon you'll have another one. You won't even know where the hell you are. All right, I got and here's another question I ask, and it's a personal one, just because it really fascinates me.
Sure.
Where do you and Courtney find some alone time?
I mean, our kids are on a schedule. Like we generally they're in bed by 8:00. We have the evenings to ourselves. We travel with friends all the time. So, for instance, we're parked. It seems remote. It's actually a pretty popular spot for RVs. If I had to guess, there's probably
I can see some behind you.
Yeah, there's probably 30 of them with us, if I had to guess. But it happens to be a restaurant. There's a resort right next to us, so we're already talking about like taking turns doing date nights and stuff like that. And we make it work.
Yeah. Well, there's a will, there's a way, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Hasn't been an issue, so.
I would think you watch each other's kids or something like that,
I would think so. We're a detachable vehicle. You can go where you want. There's a trailer where it is.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like if Brian and Courtney want to go out to dinner somewhere.
Somebody else will babysit.
And then have some alone time, maybe by a fire or something like that,
Yeah.
That's available.
Sure.
And that's really a great idea, especially with the community that you're traveling with.
Honestly, I feel like we get more time alone now, especially since we've developed a community and friends that we travel with. I mean, there's examples, the small things, even like if we go grocery shopping, sometimes our kids will stay back and they're right next to our neighbors, which are our friends. So we feel safe doing that, and they'll watch the little ones closely, obviously. And then we can go do our shopping by ourselves, and we find little moments to enjoy together, and occasionally get a date out, and it's been fun.
You mentioned grocery shopping. Where do you put it all?
We have to shop.
There's 6 of you.
Yeah, we have to shop often. We have 2 refrigerators. They're both small. I'd say, well, one's like a dorm size, and we actually just replaced that. So now we added one. We got one that has a freezer space, so we have more freezer space. And then we have, I believe it's a 7 cubic foot refrigerator, so just slightly bigger than a dorm size, I'd say.
Yeah.
So we just have to shop often. Our pantry space is actually pretty big, but we do have to be mindful of how much weight we put in the trailer. So I'm probably at the grocery store 2 or 3 times a week. unless we're in an area like we're an hour and 20 minutes from the nearest grocery store here, so we had to kind of stock up. But yeah, I usually just shop 2 or 3 times a week.
You have to buy a lot of dry goods.
A lot of dry goods, a lot of rice, beans, vegetables. We try to buy. That's usually our grocery trips are meat and vegetables. And we have all the staple stuff already. So
Did you say grocery truck?
no,
I think you said grocery truck. Like I didn't know if there was like I don't know, somebody that comes to you and you just buy what they have. I didn't know.
We haven't figured that out. Some people that stay in campgrounds long term, a month or whatever, that they'll use like Walmart delivery or stuff like that. But honestly, I like getting out and doing that sort of thing versus having somebody deliver it. But yeah.
Very good. How do you like
The only
Canada?
thing that's a bummer with the grocery shopping for us is we can't really stop. Like if there's a sale on meat, for example, we can't really take advantage of it. It's just, we save that little bit of money for the week or whatever. And we've talked about adding, they make 12-volt deep freezers. They are designed to go in the bed of your truck, and we already have the outlet. So we've talked about possibly doing that down the road, just to have the space to kind of stock up when there are big sales. But
You mean like freeze dry?
Not freeze dry, just a deep freezer, but it is what it is.
No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot of adjustments.
Oh yeah.
I mean, from living in a house to traveling in an RV across the country.
Yep.
So what's been the biggest adjustment? What's the one thing you say, oh crap, I wish it wasn't like this?
The biggest pain point I'd say is honestly getting delivery of stuff. Like if we have to order something, if we have a replacement part we need to get, trying to figure that out. Post offices are very inconsistent with how they receive. There's something called general delivery. I'm sure you've heard of it, but post offices, you're supposed to be able to send mail directly to them and they'll hold it. And if you go on the post office website, it'll tell you if they offer that service. But we have found that even if they offer it, doesn't mean they're going to be nice about it when you do it. Sometimes it's not something that they're really used to dealing with. And when you go to pick it up, you'll get an attitude or we've had one in Michigan try to charge us $30. Basically, I think it was like the cost of a monthly box just to receive one package. And we had to point out on their website that it was a service they offered and they ended up, they wouldn't budge. So we told them to keep the package. I think it was dog food. We told them to keep it. The dog food was cheaper than the fee they were trying to charge us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that was that's been the biggest pain point. And yeah, just the availability of getting anything shipped to us is always a challenge. In fact, we kind of look at our itinerary or our schedule or whatever, and we kind of highlight where we'll be able to mail stuff and have to kind of plan ahead. But
what kind of documents do you got to carry when you're traveling? I mean, is a passport for everybody, birth certificates? I mean, because you're crossing into different countries.
Yeah, our kids all have passport cards. In hindsight, I wish we got them the books, just because when we do decide to travel, so the cards, for those that don't know, they're only good for Canada and Mexico, and by land travel only. You can't fly with them to those countries. But they're significantly cheaper. I think it's $50 for the card versus $150 for the book, and that's the reason why we did it. But I wish we just bit the bullet and got the books, because now if we do decide to fly, we'd have to get them anyways. But yeah, we carry that. We carry paperwork for the dogs.
Yep.
Then of course insurance, registration, stuff like that.
So, I didn't even think about the dogs. Now, how many dogs do you have?
We have 2. We have a 16-year-old Shorkie who's on bought time for sure. And we have I believe he's 13. He's a lab mix. He's about 25, 30 pounds. So they're both smaller dogs. And they're both older. But like I said, the Shorkie has a lot of health issues. We feel like We always say it. For the last year or so, we felt like he's at the end, but he just keeps on kicking. He doesn't seem like he's in any sort of discomfort. So
We got a
keep him
cat
around.
like that right now.
Yeah, yeah. He goes through these moments where we feel like it's the end, and then he just bounces right back. So
Yeah, I got a feeling Colonel's going to bounce right back to our cat. Little antibiotic, and boom, he'll be good to go.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anything else you want to share with us, Brian, before we say goodbye until our next time we chat? God knows where you'll be on the globe.
I don't think so. We're going to Banff National Park next.
Which one?
Banff, Banff. Supposedly, there's more. Well, I guess I've read conflicting reviews. It's on my bucket list to see a grizzly bear from a safe distance, and supposedly a lot of bear sightings have been happening in the area we're going to. So I'll let you know if we spot one. But
Okay, get a picture. I'd love to see one.
yeah, I've seen him in captivity, of course, but
Yeah.
nothing in person, and I'm pretty excited to see that. But yeah, other than
This is
that,
Melissa when we were on our cruise. All she wanted to see was dolphins, and it was
Yeah,
like the
dolphins are cool.
last day of our cruise. She saw a pod of dolphins. She was like incredibly thrilled.
They are awesome. We saw them in Mexico. Well, I guess I didn't, but we're staying in this bay area, and supposedly every morning it was known that around 7 in the morning, if you got your paddleboard out and went, probably a quarter mile out or so, you're guaranteed to see a pod of them. And friends of ours saw them and got video of them, and it was cool. But
Can you just before we go, can you like give us like a little panorama shot of like the landscape? It looks absolutely beautiful where you are. Oh my God.
yeah, so it's kind of weird doing it with the front facing camera, but yeah,
That's okay. It looks gorgeous.
I mean, that's a glacier right there, if you could see at the top of those mountains. So yeah, it's beautiful here.
Yep, there are a bunch of people there. Now, are they all full-time travelers?
No, most of them I'd say are not Canadian or from the U.S. Most of them are from other countries, but a lot of rental. There's a big rental RV presence here. I don't think most of them are full time. We've talked to a few of them, but not many of them. A lot of them come and go. A lot of them are only here for a night. We're staying here for 7 nights. But yeah, I'd say most people are only here for a night or just for a day. A lot of people set up park, use it as kind of their house while they go explore the area, and then pack up and leave that night. So.
Yeah. All right, dude. Good luck. Continue on.
Thank you.
I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and it's amazing that I respect anybody that's got the gonads to do what you're doing. You decide to just, yep, we're gonna do this, and you did it, and you're doing it. It's amazing.
Yeah, we
Absolutely
love it. And if there's anybody watching or listening or whatever, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book. We've learned a lot on the road, and I feel like sharing that knowledge with anybody is important. So
What's your Instagram?
it's memories.over.things. I believe just searching memories over things will get you there. But that's what it is.
Memories over things. You can follow your journey there on Instagram.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, my man. It's really wonderful to see you. Look great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And go Sox.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey,
I'm just happy to see the Yankees are 1 game away from being under 500. That's what I'm happy to see. So
yeah. How about Tristan Casas? All of a sudden, the second half, he's batting .340.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be
half.
another Bobby Dahlbach situation for a while there. So I'm glad he's panning out. But
We'll see, man. I mean, and he's had what, 12 home runs so far in the second half? 13.
He's a big kid. He'll end up hitting a lot eventually. If he stays on this pace and figures out hitting even more, he'll end up being a 40 home run guy for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Brian. Thank you, man. Be safe more than
You too.
anything. And we'll be in touch. We'll chat with you soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right, Brian. Take it easy. All right, that's Brian Culpin, everybody. Brian is traveling. It really is an amazing story. because honestly, when I working with the guy, you stereotype, right? No, he's not a soft guy or anything like that. He's a nice guy. He's a good family man. Not the guy that I thought that would just sell everything and move up and go.
Takes a lot of guts.
Right, but that's where assuming gets you, right? But it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing what he's been doing.
A lot of people be afraid to do it.
Huh?
A lot of people would be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Take the risk. Yeah. Especially today.
Exactly.
He's got to be feeling a little bit of pinch because, especially with the price of fuel, although he doesn't travel that far, he goes to stays for a period of time, and food would probably be. I mean, I don't know how the food was out there as far as expenses go, but that's the biggest cost he runs into.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's running generators for lights, unless there's a plug-in someplace at these camps. I don't know.
Right.
So.
Well, let's talk about what we have coming up here on SNSN in the next couple of days. Tomorrow we have Plainfield First Selectman Kevin Cunningham.
Oh,
will be in, and he says he's bringing Danishes. I'm going to hold him to that. Friday we have Sean McKenna and Mary Beth Malin from the Grizzle Board of Education.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the multi-purpose field a little bit. It's almost ready. The track is still settling, so we can't go on it yet. We'll talk about that. But one of the things I think that's going to spur the visit is we were at the beginning of the week, we talked about different things that schools maybe are teaching or not teaching anymore.
Right.
And Mr. McKenna got in touch with me and said, no, we have this, we have this, we have this. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. So that spurred a really good conversation. So, and I know Grizzle's very diversified, as far as what they offer for education and stuff and courses. So we're going to talk to Sean McKenna and Mary Beth Malin on Friday. And Monday, after a long, nice, beautiful weekend that you're about to have, we will have Tina Falk come in and talk about her candidacy for the first selectman's office. And here's something you didn't know. She's not an independent.
Oh, she's not.
She's unaffiliated. Because independent is now a party.
Oh, okay.
She's not registered.
I'm not. I mean,
she's
okay, so
unaffiliated.
I'm not really not an independent either because I just not affiliated.
So you're unaffiliated,
right? I'm a registered voter, but I'm not affiliated.
If you're not affiliated with a party,
right.
You're unaffiliated.
Right. Good point.
So
we all think ourselves as being independent, but not really. That's a good.
Exactly.
Point. Never thought of that.
So we will visit with Tina Falk this Monday, and she's the endorsed candidate for the Republican. The Democratic Town Committee. Sorry. I was already thinking that we already had Wayne Malin on, who's the endorsed candidate for the Republican Town Committee. So,
well, he hasn't. He's not really yet. He has to win the primary.
No, he's endorsed.
He's
by
endorsed,
the Republican
but he's
Town
not.
Committee. He's not the Republican candidate yet because he will be primarying with the current first selectman, Dana Bennett.
Right.
So, who's also welcome to come in before the primary. Yeah. All personal things aside, anytime the first select woman has come in, we've always treated with respect, and we will do that if she decides to come in as well. Because really what this is about is getting information to the resident, not about my ego, I don't have you on. No, not about that. It's about the resident and getting information to them. So I know you're hearing this, so or someone's going to tell you. But you're more than welcome to come on. We would love to hear what you have to say because the residents need to hear what you have to say as well. So anyway, that's that. Paul, thank you so much for coming in, bro.
Yep.
All right. Have a good day, everyone. And we will see you. When will we see you? We'll see you Friday. Right?
Yep.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.